Spiritual Principles, Rabbi Michael-ben-Pesach, Portnaar. The 16th Spiritual Principle. Nothing exists in the general, which does not exist in the particular. All the worlds of the 5 worlds are interconnected. Only Keter does not belong to the 4 stages, as it is the Shoresh, the root. All 4 stages exist in everyone and everything. Nothing in the world exists without the 4 stages. But all of the stages, from each world, in the general and particular aspects, are interconnected with each other, and therefore we see that there is nothing in the general that would not exist in the particular, and vice versa. So now we can see that a person is a small world, because all of his 4 stages are taken from all the respective worlds. All chokhmot, plural for chokhmah, are taken from the world of Absolute. All ketarim are from the world of Adam Kadmon. And all the binot come from the world of Bria. Each levush, robe, comes from the world of Yetzirah, and every malchut, or heachai, the hall, or heachalot, halls, come from the world of Asiyah. And therefore, everything is interconnected in the particular and in the common. Absolutely everything is in a person. He does not need to go out to churches, synagogues, temples. He does not need to look at any other things to find something spiritual in himself. He just needs to know how it works. By studying the truly spiritual, he brings his kelim into conformity with the 4 worlds, with all the sources of his own 4 stages, within him, and in each of his states. He is connected to the highest Keter, through the Keter of each individual state within him. In fact, our whole correction consists in studying the structure of the worlds and the dynamics of all spiritual phenomena, with the aim of practical application in this world through our particular soul. All this should be built inside you, in your soul. There is nothing that exists in the general which does not exist in the particular, and vice versa. There is nothing in the particular which does not exist in the general. By studying all the 5 worlds of Adam Kadmon and Abeya, that is Absolute, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, then I will find the same things within myself. This is what we say. There's nothing in the smallest detail of creation which would not be in the general aspect of creation. In the smallest living being, there are, in the particular, all 5 worlds. This knowledge is very important because we need to understand many aspects, and we must always remember this. And the first understanding is that very moment when movement is made, causing a change in some world, in some particular aspect, then this particular movement, correction, also causes a general movement in all the worlds. From the top of Kav to the end of the world of Asiyah, either in the strictness of the law or in the mercy, depending on the change. And it is really like in one person. When only a small part of his organ hurts him or gives him pleasure, the whole body does not feel it from his head to his toes. So the same is true here, and understand this well. And therefore, what we study here in the general aspect is very important in the particular aspect. What do the wise men say? In the place where the thoughts of a person are located, there he is. Because all the nourishment for the soul comes from where your thoughts are. Therefore, a person is not truly sinning, is not truly sinning as in a sin of thought, while it is still possible to prevent these thoughts from entering the body of the Partsuf. For when the desire has already passed into the body, then the sin is already carried out by the body. And the same with regard to good thoughts. That is, the justification of the Creator's control gives vitality to the Partsuf. And therefore you need to carefully monitor your thoughts. All your thoughts come. Everything comes from the Creator, and even the dirtiest thoughts. You need to know that they also come to you from the Creator. But you have to thank Him for those too. For your task is to connect anything that comes to you. And you are given the choice of what to connect with and bring down with your light of Or Choser. Because all of this only potentially happens in your head. And look how many potential pleasures in our world there are. Countless, and in different ways, more or less. And all this is given to a person potentially. And what do we do? What do we do with this? We want or can attract through Or Choser. This is where we have the freedom of choice. And so you correct them one by one until you come to the state of your personal Gmar Tikkun. And this state of Gmar Tikkun is in every one of our corrections. The state of mini Gmar Tikkun. It is an element of personal and general Gmar Tikkun. It is in every state and must only be attained in such a way that the Ze'er Anpin, Ze'ah, and Nukva become the same. Then, in Gmar Tikkun, the light of the moon, Nukva, will be like the light of the sun, Ze'er Anpin. This is of the whole correction. Every person has a masculine and feminine foundation. For example, Ze'ah and Nukva, right and left, above the Chazeh and under the Chazeh. And this applies equally to both men and women. The man, Adam, means having male and female. It is written in the description of the act of creation. He created them as a man and a woman. And this is a man who has a male and a female foundation. We're talking about the spiritual. We mean the soul of man. The man has a male and female with a common male background, and the woman has a male and female with a common female background. And so Ari teaches us that the Ze'ah, that when Ze'er Anpin and Nukva, or masculine and feminine, are equal in the great condition of the Partzuf, they no longer need each other, and this means a perfect state. And then the male does not dominate the female component. In this regard, it is good to remember the words of the Creator, who turned to Chava after the first sin. He said, "Your husband will have your desire, and he will rule over you." And therefore a person will leave his family and unite himself with his wife, that is, with his Nukva. In the Torah, only the consequence of the sin of Adam and Chava is given, a state where the female component, or a woman in a general aspect, has an attraction to her husband, i.e., she is dependent on the male component. In fact, inside the woman herself there is a craving for her male part, and here she projects it after the sin of Adam and Chava on the man. No matter what desires she had, and no matter how much she realized her desire, it would never satisfy her, because this state is a result of perversion. All arts, all fiction that we study, is built on the result of the sin of Adam and Chava. The attraction of a man to a woman and vice versa, this imaginary love between them, is all just a result of the sin of Adam and Chava. It is only a desire to receive, and different variations to receive for your own sake. And so the male will rule over the female. This is the result of the fact that she was seduced, and then seduced Adam. Of course, Adam himself was tempted, but he began to rule over her, and this is not a good rule, because it is not a true male nature. It is also a consequence of sin. And when we teach that only when a person inside himself makes a tikkunim constantly, in every desire, in every aspect of his desires, when he makes a correction and brings a nukva to gadlut, that is, ze'ah, the male component, gives nukva and thus builds its female part so that they become on the same level. Only then the Ari and Zohar tell us they do not need each other, and the male does not dominate the female. The power of authority, action, and sensation also upsets the balance of the male counterpart. It is also a consequence of sin. This is comparable to what Lenin said about the revolution at one time. This is a state where the lower classes no longer want rule over them, and the upper cannot rule any longer. The state, when the female rises to the male level and the male one helps her to rise, and then both become on the same level and then do not need each other. And only then does the possibility of a real, true connection of the male and female parts take place, both within the person himself, first of all, as well as in the general aspect, when two people join together in a true marriage. From the outside, you cannot fix anything spiritually, only from the inside, for there is nothing in common that would not exist in the particular. If I correct the particular, then this automatically enters into the general, and not vice versa. Therefore, the general one comes to the particular, not through the masses or groups that serve the Creator, as children or slaves serve their master, as these ways nothing can be fixed. And then I individually serve the Creator inside me. I serve as a son to my Father, that is, not wanting anything for myself, but only to please Him. What can I do for Him? Only by listening to His voice. For He wants to give me personally all the best that He has in the tower that He built for me. And if I listen to His voice, to the words of His Torah, Zohar, Etz Chaim, to what we study, then I will align myself by properties with Him and His higher laws of the universe. Thus, I correct myself, and in this way I correct the whole universe. This must be very clearly understood and engraved in the inner part of your inner world, so as not to fall for the imaginary perfection pursued by the crowds and groups formed within them.